Hello, my dear friends. Welcome again to another episode of Word and the World. Kasi nagapitlan ako. Today, I'm going to share with you another of my favorites. And this time, it's connected with the land of the rising sun, Japan. So, watch out, and I will share to you one of my favorite dishes from Japan. Hello, my dear friends. Welcome to this episode of The Word and the World. As I was saying to you, I have very fond memories of Japan when I was small because my mother, during that when she was younger, she has a Japanese pen pal. It was part actually of the program of I think the Japan and Philippine friendship program, wherein the young people from Japan would write to their counterparts here in the Philippines and tell about their country. And at the same time, also the Filipinos will also write their Japanese counterparts. I believe it was a kind of restoration of relationships between Japan because the memories of the war was still very fresh at the time. That was in the 60s, I believe, no, when my mother, or maybe 50s and 60s, because she was in high school. Her Japanese pen pal would usually send her postcards. So when I was a young boy, a small boy, growing up in Hinigaran, I would often see that album where she kept her, where she kept the various postcards that her pen pal, her Japanese pen pal, would send her. That's why I am really fascinated with Japan ever since when I was small. I always want to see those beautiful shrines, the beautiful cherry blossoms. Of course, all of these are in postcards. By God's providence and by the generosity of my benefactor, I was able to go to Japan last September 2019. And of course, because of that, one of the things that I really did was, other than going to places that were familiar to me due to the postcards, I went to see the beautiful places there. But I also went there because of the food. And one of the food that I was really looking for, not sushi and sashimi because I don't like it, it's ramen. So in Osaka, or Osaka, or whatever, however you pronounce it, in Osaka, we went to this market where, according to our guide, offers various Japanese specialties. So one of the streets there is only for ramen. And of course, because I am a ramen lover, I went to this store. And as you can see, there are a lot of food here, food stalls. Some of them are selling Wagyu beef, some of them lobsters and king crabs, and so on and so forth. But I went to the ramen street. And then I ordered ramen. There, when you order ramen, you don't need a waiter. You just like in anything in Japan, there is this machine, no? You just put this vending machine and just choose whatever ramen you want. And then, of course, I tasted ramen, and I was disappointed with the ramen. I was thinking that the ramen in Japan will be better than the ramen here in the Philippines. But it turned out that the ramen here in the Philippines tastes better than the ramen in Japan. Maybe because I went to a cheap store. I did not go to Ichiran. Ichiran, I believe, is the most famous of the ramen brand. Unfortunately, I cannot locate that. Maybe next time when I go back to Japan, I'll visit that place where they're selling Ichiran ramen. But as I said, I was disappointed by the various ramens that I was able to taste in Japan when I was there. And last time, before the lockdown, I would always want to eat ramen here in Bacolod. During the lockdown, of course, I was not able to go out. But recently, just a few months ago, I mean, maybe it was like March or February, when I got the courage to enter the mall, we went to my favorite ramen store. And then, lo and behold, the ramen there is no longer the same. The taste is no longer the same. So what I did was, maybe I should cook ramen myself, no? So this is what we're going to share to you now, ramen, how to cook ramen. But of course, this is not the exact ramen that you will find in Japanese stores because the ingredients, I cannot find some ingredients that I need. Like, I cannot find sake, I cannot find mirin, I cannot find nori in the store where I am buying my stuff. So, medyo na ni siya, basic lang. So, what we have here is actually two pots. The first pot, this pot, is filled with pata. That's the first one, no? How to make the broth. It's made of pata cuts. You boiled it for, if you have your pressure cooker, it will be good to have it pressure cook, for 1 hour. But if you don't have pressure cooker, then it may take a lot of time, like 3 to 4 hours of boiling the pata cuts, no, for the pork. Because we're going to make a tonkotsu, which is a pork broth ramen. On this other pot, as you can see, is my pork belly. I've been boiling this, no? So you remove the skin. Of course, you ask the butcher to remove the skin already and have it sliced, depending on your slice. But our slice is a little bit thick, no? Because when I went to the store, this is already the slices. So you just cook it, boiled it. You can mix some soy sauce for flavoring. On the other hand, the pata, no salt, no nothing, no condiments, just the pata cut pork. Okay, you boiled it, and then while we are waiting for that, you may want to prepare your sauce. The sauce is, of course, this will be the flavoring for our ramen. So the flavoring for the ramen is, of course, made up of, in my case, because there are some ingredients that are not available, we have here Kikkoman soy sauce, then some vinegar, and some silver swan. Now, in my case, because I'm just preparing for 3 persons, I just used 3 tablespoons of all these ingredients, and I mixed it. And then later on, we will bring that to a boil. Okay, so how will you know that your your broth is already ready? If it turns like milky, it looks like creamy or milky in color, that means the broth is okay. But you can add some water if you need more of the broth, because you cannot just make you estimate how many people will eat your ramen. So it's already okay. You try to dissolve not really dissolve, but you don't know how to say this. when the pata I'm making pasta here. When the pata cuts are already okay, when the broth is already milky, you may want to add a few slices of ginger and a few slices of the onion stalks. Now the hard part. Okay, and you just boiled it for a few minutes. Okay? Sige. Now, on the other hand, while we are cooking we're still trying to finish the broth, you may want to cook your noodles. Because again, we don't have much ingredients here that are Japanese, that are really authentically Japanese. I use the pancit that we use for bok choy, the usual pancit that you can buy, the fresh noodles from the market. Now, I want it to be clean. Of course, I wash it, and I want it cooked. So that's why I'm boiling it for just a few minutes, depending on your texture. So if you want a soft texture or al dente, you may want to cook this according to your own taste. So here, we are already boiling the noodles, and then we will drain the noodles afterwards. Okay, so let's drain it just like what you do with your other pasta and reserve it. Now, on the other hand, while broth is already ready. You have to drain it so that you separate the broth from the bones, no? And reserve the broth. And you can reserve also the bones. Maybe you can use that later again. Okay, so that's how it's done. Now let's prepare. Now everything is ready. We have our broth, we have our seasoning, we have our pork cooked ready, our pork belly cooked. So all of the things are already prepared. So remember, prepare the broth, cook the belly, the pork belly, and prepare the tonkotsu seasoning. And that is the one that I already shown you. Okay, so this time, we will now prepare it. So you put your seasoning, the tonkotsu seasoning that was made of our kikoman soy sauce, the patis, or patis in Ilonggo, and our vinegar. So you put some of that. Then you put the noodles according to the quantity that you want. And then you put your pata, pork broth. Okay. And of course, if you want, you can put some boiled eggs here. And then the belly, the pork belly. And garnish it with, of course, with onion leaves. Now, my dear friends, I believe this is another thing that I would like to share with you with regards to this cooking. No, I'm not cooking here because I am a chef or this is a cooking show. But what I'm trying to say here is, you know, food can be a source of memories, can be a symbol. That's why whenever I eat ramen, I don't just eat ramen because I like to eat ramen. Yeah, because it's tasty and delicious. But it also brings about memories. And that is very important. Very important that while we are still alive and we know that we will die someday, we do not just transfer skills to our young generation, but we transfer also memories. So how are we going to make sure that their memories are connected with us? That we will be remembered? Well, of course, one of those things is by food. When you connect food with meaning, you remember. And that's why, for me, whenever the word Japan is mentioned, whenever ramen, of course, whenever I am eating ramen, I remember my mother. Of course, my mother and I did not eat ramen, and she did not also taught me how to cook. But precisely because I made the connection of ramen with Japan and the Japan with my childhood, of course, looking at those postcards, I come to make a memory, no, a kind of a marker, a memorial. No? So food can also serve as a reminder for all of us, no, and can also serve as a memorial when we are no longer here on earth. But our next generation can still remember us whenever they hear words or they eat a certain food. So I hope you create memories now while we are still strong, happy, and alive, so that when the Lord God calls us back home and our loved ones are left here, they can still remember us through the food, through the things or through the activities that we are doing. So hopefully you find this episode enlightening and enriching. And of course, I did not really went into the entire recipe of the ramen, but you may want to make your own way of doing it. So you can say it's ramen a la whatever. Ramen according to your version. So this is my version of ramen. So until next time, thank you very much for watching. Please share and subscribe. Please subscribe and share and like and comment in this video. Thank you very much, and let's keep on creating memories.